My man Stephen A. Smith is going to be inducted into the Broadcasting and Cable Hall of Fame. That is rare air. But there was another distinction offered him this weekend by an organization that definitely matters to Stephen A. Smith. It comes from the National Association of Black Journalists, and they call it the Thumbs Down Award.
Not the thumbs down for his hairline? That's what he probably should have got it for.
Here's what they said.
Smith has established a recurring public pattern of disparaging commentary directed at prominent black women across politics, sports, and media. Such commentary reinforces harmful narratives, undermines the fair and respectful representation of black women in public discourse, and stands in direct conflict with NABJ's long-standing commitment to accurate, responsible, and inclusive portrayals of black communities.
They gave him the Raccoon Award. They gave him the Black Eyes. Golly.
Now, this was highly offensive to Stephen A. Smith, and I know that because he's my friend.
And his hairline went back 2 more inches after they said it. He was so mad.
But why is something you need to hear from him. And here he is right now. Stephen A., in characteristic fashion.
What's up, Steve?
When we were discussing this, I was like, I'm sorry about this. You said, no, I'm not. They want it. This is Christmas early. Why?
Because I think that, the organization has some issues. I mean, clearly it's amongst their leadership. This wasn't a decision that was reached by the collective board or what have you. You have a few people as members of the board that made a decision that, as far as I'm concerned, besmirched the entire organization. The NABJ has had its issues throughout the years, and we recognize that, and it's something that we've had challenges and we fought, and the organization is supposedly in a better place. But you've got jealousy and issues of envy and things of that nature that have existed for far some time. But
so they're hating on you, and they're envious, and they're jealous of Stephen A. Smith. That's what's going on, and they're tired of him speaking about his bosses and speaking against strong black women, because they distinctively pointed out black women. That was part of the statement.
Reportedly, the organization has had a strong political tilt. And if I was, as I said on my podcast today, I said if I had said this about a black conservative female, what would have been the issue? Nobody would have said anything. So this has been politicized, no doubt about that, because I'm an independent. I'm a registered independent. I believe in calling balls and strikes and being as fair as I possibly can. And as a result, you have people within our community that if I'm not parroting our speech, then they've got a problem with that, as if we're all one monolithic group of one monolithic thinking, and we think.
All right, let's see who he criticized. He criticized Jasmine Crockett. He criticized Michelle Obama. How though? I mean, people generally feel that Stephen A. Smith has a little bit of that, of that ringtail in his life. People feel that way, particularly because of the way he speaks about his bosses and how his only job in the world is to make the bosses more money. Make sure them bosses got enough money. That bothers people. That rubs people the wrong way. His unwillingness to go along to get along. That is his unwillingness to go along to get along on the black side, but then on the opposite side, his complete willingness to. Because he is definitely not as quick to criticize on the other side. You feel me? That's what I'm saying. It's a small observation I've noticed myself. I'm not ready to condemn him, but let's hear more of what he has to say, and then we'll see if we can find some information from the National Black Journalists Association. National Association of Black Journalists. Y'all know what I mean.
Like, that is not the case. And so that's something that I've always maintained. That's all something I've always spoken out about. And this is the latest example of that. I think where the offense really, really hit home was why. If you gave me a thumbs down because you don't like my political views from time to time, that's no problem. That's you're entitled to that. But to sit up there and to give me a thumbs down award 5 weeks before I'm to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and I'm not a member of the Hall of Fame of your organization, and to accuse me of disparaging women. Well, let's go down the list, Chris. I disparaged Jasmine Crockett because I said it wasn't wise for her to go on air and curse out the president when you're representing 766,000 constituents in Texas. I said, where's that going to get you? How's that going to work for you in Texas? Did it work for her, Chris?
Nope,
I don't think it
job.
did. Tellerico, last time I checked, is the Democratic nominee for the United States Senate seat out of Texas. You've got Michelle Obama that was joking around and talking about how First Take was like a reality show. My response to that is that she's the greatest first lady I've ever known. I wish she ran for president. She's a marvelous, wonderful woman. My only issue with her was when she was campaigning on behalf of Kamala Harris and said a vote for him, meaning Donald Trump, was a vote against us. I said, wait a minute. Black men have loved and revered black women forever. What do you mean that's a vote against you? I said, somebody can't vote because their priority is immigration or the economy or safety in the streets or healthcare. Why does it have to be what you want it to be?
I don't even think these are good examples of Stephen A's coonery. I think these are minuscule. I think these are just difference of opinion. His Jerry Jones opinion, that one would have got him off of mine.
When it came to Kamala Harris, I said, hey, you didn't even make it to Iowa in 2020. And in 2024, you bypassed the Democratic primary. You were gift wrapped at the Democratic nomination because of Joe Biden's performance in that June 27th debate in June of 2024.
But they're valuing something else. They're valuing something else, Stephen A. They're valuing, you know, I had Senator Ron Johnson on the other day from Wisconsin, separate but related. And I was like, hey, how come you don't care about all this Arab money going into Trump's kids' pockets? He said, look, I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't let my sons take it. But look, you know, that's for you to pick out. This is a team sport. You don't investigate your own. Do you think this is an extension of that? That, you know, you are a black journalist. You are both of those things. But that in this day and age, you've got to pick a team. Yeah. And your team would be black
Team Negro
people, and you should not criticize them.
Well, first of all,
you know how my people is. They don't play that. They don't play. I don't even think these are good examples of him being against the team. I don't think those are good examples at all.
Black folks criticize each other all the time amongst family, amongst friends, or whatever. That's number one. Number two, it would matter to me more, Chris, if they said that. That's not what they said. They said I disparage black women. I was raised by black.
They just said they should have said they feel that you're into the you know, to the coonery, and then you got a real poor hair. You got a real poor hairline, and we don't like that. Therefore, you get the thumbs down. That's good enough for me. I'd be like, yeah, thumbs down. But all this disparage black women, I do think that's inaccurate. Let's go to somebody who knows about flip-flopping on race. Your boy Poetic Flacco.
Today was a really bad day for Stephen A. Smith. He's like really, really, really upset. For whatever reason, he has this recent award that he got from the National Black Journalists Association, you know, really got him pissed off, like really got him like in distress and distraught. I don't know how I butchered their name. It's the National Association for Black Journalists. So they gave Stephen A. Smith the Thumbs Down Award specifically for his attacks on black women in media, according to them.
Stephen A. Smith, sports analyst and political commentator. Smith has established a recurring public pattern of disparaging commentary directed at prominent black women across politics, sports, and media. Such commentary reinforces harmful narratives, undermines the fair and respectful representation of black women in public discourse, and stands in direct conflict with NABJ's long-standing commitment to accurate, responsible, and inclusive portrayals of black communities.
Stephen A. Smith has been involved in 3 controversies revolving black women in the last year and a half. He had the Jasmine Crockett incident where he went off on Jasmine Crockett for criticizing Trump. People came to her defense like, hey, bro, like you can't tell her how to do her job, right? Because he disguised because he was like really passionate about this too. Like he was like, I can understand like saying, hey, man, you ain't conducting yourself in a fashion that I think is productive. That's one thing. But he was like really passionate about her like criticizing Trump or her going at Trump. And he was trying to tell her how to do her job, even though like she's an elected official. He is a sports podcaster who is dibbling and dabbling into into politics, right? Like she's much more qualified to do what she's doing. And who is Stephen A. Smith to tell her how to do her job better, right? So he was out of line in that regard, and people just felt like, come on, bro. Like, now you're just going like above and beyond and out of your way to criticize any and every black person, and people was really offended by this. Now, he apologized for that. He came back and apologized, but, you know, it was like a soft apology. It was, yeah, I'm sorry, but...
Let me see what the hell he said. See, I got me curious now, because I can't even, what did he say exactly?
You Jasmine Crockett or somebody like that. Ladies, I respect. Intelligent women, no doubt. But how a Jasmine Crockett chooses to express herself, I'm like, is that going to help your district Texas? Aren't you there to find a way to get stuff done as opposed to just being an impediment to what Trump wants? I'm just going to go off about Trump, cuss him out every chance I get, say the most derogatory, incendiary things imaginable, and that's my day's work. That ain't work. Work is saying that's the man in power. I know what his agenda is. I'm not exactly in a position to stop him since the Republicans have the Senate and the House. But maybe if I'm willing to work with this man, I might get something out of it for my constituency. She's supposed to be there to represent the people of Texas.
Well, those were his original comments, right? So since...
What are you saying? I mean, he just said what he thought. It ain't like he cursed her out or called her no names or nothing. I don't get it.
Those comments, a ton of people have spoken out against what he's saying and defending Jasmine Crockett. I saw Willie D speak out, Stephen Jackson, Tamika Mallory is calling for people to turn Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah, I don't agree with him or nothing, but I mean, he didn't say much. I know I'm losing focus, y'all. Let me get back to who was last talking about this? We was watching Flacco, weren't we? Oh, Flip Flopper himself. Y'all, did y'all see my video about Flacco, what he been doing? He used to be something else. Y'all check it out.
I was only trying to tell her how to do her job to serve her, because like, it's like, bro, how do you tell her how to serve, right, when you've never been an elected official, right? It didn't make sense at all whatsoever. And then he had beef with Kerry Champion and Jemele Hill, both for criticizing him. And I'll be real, in terms of like Kerry Champion and Jemele Hill, because they kind of attacked him first and they went at him first and they had something to say about him publicly, I don't really have a problem with him responding back to them because they attacked him first. With Jasmine Crockett, it kind of felt odd. It felt out the blue. It felt forced. It felt like somebody gave him instructions. So that's why like they gave him that award, right? Is his attacks on, Jasmine Crockett, Jemele Hill, and Kerry Champion. Now, Stephen A. Smith feels like this award is undeserved. He feels offended by it. Now, you can feel offended because obviously, like, you're the one that's getting the award, so I can't tell you how to feel. But I do feel like his strategy and how he responded back is a tad bit off. And we'll do a deep dive into why I believe, his response was a mishap.
NABJ did Saturday night or Friday night, whichever night it was. I believe it was Saturday night. It is BS. And I get a lot of people want to pile on and they want to jump on it because you have your own individual feelings about me. I'm here to tell y'all are entitled to that.
This nigga hairline is halfway there. Please, I'm sorry. I know this has nothing to do with nothing, y'all, but this is ridiculous. He's like RoboCop face. You ever see RoboCop when he take off the mask?
Not the NABJ.
Isn't that just an admission? Like, he starts out by saying, hey, man, if y'all want to call me a sellout, if y'all want to call me these names, if y'all want to say I'll be attacking black women, that's fair. Y'all can have that opinion. That's fair. But they can't. And you know why they can't have that opinion about Stephen A. Smith? According to him, they are not allowed to critique him because he showed up and supported them. Which I just think, if this is your way to win over people, now, it's just not a good strategy, bro. Right? Because
that don't make sense.
Nobody, right, who's logical, right, like nobody who brain is functioning is hearing you say, "Hey, this organization who give out this award each and every year to people who is bringing harm to the black community, they can't give me that award because I've showed up and I've supported them and I've been around." And I've showed up and I've done things for them and I've given speeches for them. So because I've helped them out at some point, they're not ever allowed to criticize me or hold me accountable, which I just think is just a flawed strategy, right? Like a better strategy would have been, hey, I don't deserve this award and here's why, right? You would have been better off spending your time explaining why you don't deserve the award, opposed to I don't deserve the award because I've done things for these people and I've helped them out. It's just dumb. I don't get the strategy. Like Stephen A. Smith is a pretty smart guy, so this strategy to me is just baffling.
You're not entitled to that. This is me we're talking about here. I am the same guy that brought a nationally televised show to a journalism conference, which is the NABJ, the last 2 years.
Yeah, it look even crazier from the side. What is this? You okay, man? Is that a religious thing? That's a religious hairline. Look at this. This is insane, son.
Did you have anything to say about me then? Did I get a thumbs down then? First Take, a nationally televised show, which has been #1 for 14 straight years. We came to the National Association for Black Journalists in Chicago and Cleveland, back-to-back years. Of course, I got to thank ESPN for that. They're the ones that signed off on that. Specifically, now former executive Dave Roberts.
I understand why he would feel some kind of way. If he made the effort to make that happen and they turn around because he disagreed with some black women and gave him the donkey of the day, the thumbs down or whatever they call it, he's understandably upset. I'd be upset too.
Happen without him. It doesn't happen without ESPN. But you know who else it doesn't happen without? Me. Because if I'm not willing to show up, we ain't coming. But I was there.
Okay, did you just do it or did you push for it? You know what I'm saying? Like, was this your idea or was it ESPN's idea and you was like, yes, sir, boss?
I was there not just to do the show. I also stood in the booth for over an hour doing the jobs fair. I also gave a speech.
Yeah, applications.
I also mentored and talked to, as I continue to do, young, aspiring black journalists, and I have done that religiously for decades.
This was like very similar to like the Carrie Champion thing he had going on, where because he did something for Carrie Champion, I feel like at some point in her past, like he was the reason why she was on First Take, I believe, or she was co-hosting First Take, or she was like the moderator for First Take. Because he did that for her at some point in her career, like she's never allowed to criticize him at all. So because she criticized him, he went at her. But then people also pointed out, yo, these white women in sports, like that white woman on that show and that show and that show, they said similar things about you that Carrie Champion said. Because I think Carrie Champion like questioned Stephen A. Smith or called out Stephen A. Smith for going at Jasmine Crockett. So, but other people called him out on it. But he went specifically at Carrie Champion because he did something for Carrie Champion. That's when Jemele Hill stepped in. And to be fair to Stephen A. Smith, like there's a lot of black people in sports media that swears by Stephen A. Smith and swears at him giving opportunities to black people in media. But if these people also feel like you're being destructive to the culture and you're doing things that are destructive and problematic.
I mean, he do stuff, but I just don't think the Jasmine Crockett and what was it, Jemele Hill, whatever. I don't think those are great examples. I don't think those are great. I think he's got other examples of stuff that is very concerning so far as his perspective and the things that he does on the mic. Pause.
Call you out on it. And it's either you accept it as the truth or you say, no, this is not true. And you offer up a rebuttal to it. But wasting time by going off and on and on and on about how much you do for these people does not negate the destructive things you're also doing as well if you are doing those things, you know?
If you are.
Now, Stephen A. Smith will say that this award is the lowest of the low. It's the lowest, critique. It's the lowest insult he has ever received. Which means he's putting a lot of stock into this award, bro. I'll be real, bro. I've never been that type of guy, bro. All right.
Because you don't care anyway. We done heard about you, Flacco. I think that Stephen A. probably was like, damn, I thought we was cool. And that's what's bothering him. He like, yo, I thought we was good. I was just down there. We was doing stuff. I was at the job fair and hugging babies and kissing everybody. And, I had my whole hairline out all this time. Y'all was giving me the thumbs down. That's probably how he feels, which is understandable in my personal opinion. Even though I don't really rock with Stephen A. like that, he's done other things that make me look at him sideways in his views. But as a person, I mean, I don't know the dude. I do feel like I kind of get why he would be pissed. I don't know. You know, I don't know if what they're saying about him is true or not, but I would be pissed too.
If somebody is an op, or if somebody offers up an insult towards me or a critique that I feel like is not fair, I just dismiss it. I don't. Good luck. But Stephen A. Smith is distraught over this.
He
man.
mad.
Saturday night,
In the park.
I saw the president of the organization, Aaron Haynes, go up on stage and give me a thumbs down award.
They're mad about it. This how this
for disparaging black women.
You're disparaging, Stephen.
I received a lot of insults in my day.
This one hurt. This one hurt.
That might be the lowest. Tell me what it has to do with journalism. Disparaging black women? How? I've heard people bringing up Jasmine Crockett. She was a representative in Texas, representing 766,000 people. Did I sit up there demonstratively asking, why would you curse out the president of the United States with the cameras rolling? How is that going to help you? Yes, I did. Why did I do that? Not only because she's in Texas, and I know they're a little bit different in Texas, a bit more conservative. And I didn't think that would work with her constituency down there. We also saw the issue of redistricting coming up to the forefront. And I said, you have an opportunity to be the Democratic nominee for the United States Senate, representing 31 million folks. And you getting that seat. Why? Because your education. Because of the fact that you're licensed to practice law in Texas, in Arkansas, and federally. It would have been a great, great thing. I'm like, yo, weave your way through it. Don't let this guy Tellerico win. Was I wrong?
No.
But here's the bigger question. Forget that. I apologize for even asking that question. Here's the bigger question. How is that disparaging?
If you go back to what Stephen A. Smith said about Jasmine Crockett, it wasn't just that. Now, I'll be real.
He got a point. That wasn't necessary. I mean, disagreeing with somebody isn't the same thing. He didn't call her names. He just didn't roll with her. He called her out. He said that he didn't think that she was making the right decisions in how she was communicating her points.
And I wasn't always the biggest Jasmine Crockett fan.
Of course not. We know about you now, Flacco.
I came around to it. Right, I became a fan of Jasmine Crockett as of lately, right?
Yeah.
Because my perspective was, I used to ask, man, why is she acting like that? But then I realized, hold on, bruh. If she's being authentically herself, then how can I tell her, hey, bruh, don't behave the way you're behaving. Don't talk the way you're talking. No, she's being authentically herself, and she's talking like people in her community. But more specifically, when Stephen A. Smith was like criticizing her and implying that she's ghetto, Stephen A. Smith was comparing her to Trump. Ain't nobody more ghetto than Trump. Don't nobody cuss more than Trump.
Nope.
Don't nobody act unruly more than Trump.
Not a politician.
So if you have a problem with how Jasmine Crockett is behaving, then you should have a problem with how Donald Trump is behaving. And if you don't have a problem with how Donald Trump is behaving, then it's a deeper conversation about why you have a problem with Jasmine Crockett displaying the very same behavior that you praised Donald Trump for. And that's the point I feel like everybody was trying to get through to Stephen A. Smith. But it looks like he still don't understand or don't want to understand, to be honest. Right? So they asked Jemele Hill about this, right? Jemele Hill was asked on Don Lemon.
That's a girl who look like Reggie Miller, right?
She believed that Stephen A. Smith deserved this award, a thumbs down award. And here's what Jemele Hill has to say. Now, Jemele Hill has been somebody who has given Stephen A. Smith his props, right, for putting on black talent at ESPN. So she hasn't taken that away from him. But here's why she believes that Stephen A. Smith deserves this award.
A little nuance, okay?
Yeah.
Now, has Stephen A. been have the criticisms of Stephen A. been unfair? The answer is no. I think they've been completely fair, and I think a lot of them have been valid in terms of, as I was talking about, that different energy and trying to understand where that comes from. And I think politically, people definitely have a problem with how he's used his platform and who he has platformed on his platform, and, you know, kind of the circles that he seems to be ingratiating himself with. It leaves a little, you know, leaves one to raise the eyebrows and say, okay, what's really going on here? You know, you're flirting with running for president. We know that you're friends with some interesting people, to say the least. And I don't want to be getting into business of judging people by their friend groups, but I think people can see the dynamic of what's unfolding and saying, like, who is he trying to ingratiate himself to and why? So there's that component of it, which I think those are fair observations. And
I do judge people by their film group.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
All right. I mean, I understand, you know.
Yeah. It says a lot about who you are.
All right. Y'all be looking at me crazy too. I got it.
I hear them. I do. Like, for example, if somebody was friends with a KKK member, I'm judging you by that association. Stephen A. Smith being friends with people like, let's say, like Tucker Carlson, it's like, like politics is theater. Right? Like, so I don't know.
It is.
Now, if Stephen A. Smith was friends with Tucker Carlson and these other people without the opinions that Stephen A. Smith have had about black people publicly, then it will kind of be like a pass. But because you pair up his associations with his opinions,
stuff he's done,
people say, what's going on here? Right? Like, what is going on?
They want they want you to be friends despite, although you don't agree. But if you agree and you're friends, it's like, oh, y'all just the same, which they may be. I mean,
now I'll be real. Like, as of lately, like people like Tucker Carlson, they've kind of like have taken a break from disparaging black people to now their focus have like realigned with going at, like Netanyahu in Israel.
Yeah, they've been and they realized that Trump is not on their side, so they've changed up a little bit. I've seen Tucker Carlson. I have such a tough time with that man's name, Tucker Carlson. Anyway, I've seen him go directly at Donald Trump. I was like, wow, I would never thought I would see the day. And Tucker actually did something really big when he apologized for his support of Trump. Says he sees the error of his ways, which is amazing. Not done a lot. Not a common trait in media today. You know what I mean?
Somebody else that's not coming to mind, but this dude, he's still actively on Fox News, I believe, disparaging black folks. His name is just not coming to my mind. And Stephen Smith and him are like really great friends. So in that regard, like if Stephen A. Smith was just say, hey, we're just friends, and he was not on his platform doing what he was doing, it would be more understandable. Jemele Hill will further address Stephen A. Smith saying, hey, how can y'all give this to me when I've done so much for you guys? She would address that particular point, and she would say, well, she would give him his props, and first of all say, yeah, Stephen Smith have created spaces for black voices. However, his actions in the last year and a half or last 2 years completely negates, like whatever he has done for black voices, because he's just done too much and he's just been too destructive.
Exactly.
I understand. So yeah. I get that. And I think those are fair criticisms and observations. There are a lot of black people who can say, Stephen A. helped me with my career. That Stephen A., he elevated me in this way. When he had his show, quite frankly, on ESPN, it is true, he created a segment strictly for black voices on his show because there wasn't a lot of black columnists. I was one of the black columnists that appeared on his show. Me, Rob Parker, Gary Howard. It was very few of us. Stephen A., it is true, gave us a platform to do those things. So while I do understand that how he has done and moved and operated in certain ways has gone against the mission of NABJ, and that Thumbs Down award, that is what it is supposed to address. I do think you
can't disagree with nobody black. If you want to stay down with the black hive mind, you can't disagree. It's just that simple.
Work should matter. And Stephen A. does not have
not a black woman.
Lengthy track record, I think, of going against the core and the root of what black journalism is. And while I don't like a lot of the things that he has said, I also cannot absolve or cannot erase the contributions he's made, both as a Black journalist himself and also as somebody who has tried in many instances to use his position to help other Black journalists.
Okay. Completely fair. And nuance, which people don't like in this day and age. It's not like the Black journalists were calling him, the sellout or, the uncle. No, they weren't doing that.
That would make more sense. That would make more sense. For some stuff. That would make more sense. But because he disagreed with Jasmine Crockett, and that's nothing to me.